Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Susanna Crawford. I'm the community manager here at GiveSmart, and we are thrilled to have each of one of you with us today. Today is episode 4 in our Fundraising Success Blueprint Series, where our hope is to go in depth on 12 areas of fundraising, not only to address each topic, but by the end, have a complete blueprint to success. Our customers lead the way here at GiveSmart, and today I'm thrilled to be joined with some amazing individuals. I'm sorry, turning my video off. But some individuals who are here to share their time and graciously share their knowledge with us. So thank you all for joining. Today we have 3 organizations with us represented by 5 panelists. So I'm going to have them go ahead and introduce themselves. So Kelsey, would you mind getting us started? Tell us your name, what your role is, and a little bit about your organization.
Yeah, hi, thanks for having me. My name is Kelsey Rice. I'm the Community Outreach Coordinator at Make-A-Wish, Wisconsin. And so I manage all of our third-party events. I do our auctions for our internal events, among a bunch of other stuff. And at Make-A-Wish, as many of you probably know, our mission is to grant wishes to kids living with critical illnesses. So it's been a crazy year for us, like probably most of you. So lots of room for adaptations and making things work. So glad to be here. Thank you.
My name is Jaden Johnson. I am the Special Events Manager here at Suncoast Humane Society.
And my name is Lena Hart. I'm the Director of Communications and Events at Suncoast Humane Society as well. Our organization, we're a local no-kill and also regional humane society who work with animals. We rescue and pull animals from other organizations and groups. So we work with our community and we provide a lot of really awesome programs for people and animals.
Great.
Hi, I'm Sarah Knowlton. I am with Swigert International School, and I was the co-chair with my counterpart, Rachel Fisher. And we work as an extension of the PTA with fundraising for a public school in Denver. We are parent volunteers, have other jobs, and devoted the last year to try and get as much funds pulled together to help our public school.
Yeah, we, the parent community, we use GiveSmart, I think for the last 5 years, actually, for an in-person annual auction. It's definitely our largest fundraiser. In Colorado, we are, I think we were 48th, we might be 47th now in the country, like bottom of the tier for funding. So parents often have to bridge the gap. And so this auction, typically we expect to raise around $100,000 for the auction every year. Through GiveSmart. So
thank you all so much for being here. We are so glad to have you. And you can keep your cameras on if you'd like. So to give you guys the best experience today as a listener, we just have a few tips for you. So to see all of the panelists, make sure you're staying in gallery mode. And you might see that we have a few extra people on here. This is my team in the background. There is an area for Q&A. Please send in your questions as we go forward. We will try to do our best to answer them live. And then we'll also have a Q&A section at the end of today. And then also throughout this, we will put the campaigns that we share, as well as some other resources in the chat. So Q&A, chat, there you go. And then to answer the question that we always get is, yes, this call is being recorded, and you will receive a call after the recording after today with these resources. So if you don't want to take all the notes down for this second, that is a-okay. We will get to you. Okay, so what are we doing today? Let's jump in. So we're going to start out with some panelist questions, asking each individual one from their unique perspective, a little bit more about their homepage strategy. And then I'm going to actually screen share. I'm going to go through their campaigns and show you why we think they're awesome and why they were nominated to be here today. And then again, we will do some of those audience Q&As. So that's all about you as our listener. So make sure you're sending those in and we will jump right to it. Before we get in, we're going to start with a little poll, again, going with you. So I'm going to launch this poll here. And if you could go ahead and get your votes in, that would be great. And while you're voting, just a note that we had, a few weeks ago, we had Daniel Meyer join us And he said no matter what type of campaign they are doing, that he believes that a homepage is critical to the success of that event, right? So today we're going to talk a little bit about hybrid, mostly virtual, and some super creative campaigns, but it's interesting to see where you are today. So we'll give it just another minute here. I see votes coming in. Awesome. And I'm going to go ahead and end this poll and share the results to you. So can everyone see that? Pretty interesting. We've got some virtual, some live campaigns. And if you're in the no idea category, that is a-okay. Hopefully today you can also walk away with some stuff here. So we'll jump right in. Okay. I'm gonna get out of this. Sorry, it's a little tricky. And stop share, and we're back to gallery view, I hope. So I'm going to jump in with these 3 questions, and we are going to start out with Suncoast Humane Society. Okay, so you guys joined us in December 2020, so pretty new to the GiveSmart and virtual event space, but I have been completely blown away with what you guys have been able to accomplish. So far, you've run 1 campaign each month or more, giving a little background on your story. And my question for you is, when you start your campaign, what are the first things that you think to do? And what are those vital pieces of information that you make sure gets on that homepage?
Awesome. So there are a few things that I'm always sure, like initial start off, we make sure we do. The very, very first thing is edit our campaign details. That is a big part of the homepage and helps people understand who we are and where to contact us, how to share our information or share our event. So that consists of putting our logo on there, a contact number or email, all of that kind of information, our address. So if people want to reach out to us, they want to mail, come in, see some dogs, they know where to go. The next thing is to put a brief description of our event. So this is usually short at the very start, since it's very broad overview, but it keeps us focused on exactly what the event needs to be. So that kind of brings me to my next point in making sure we have all the necessary components live and enabled. So GiveSmart is endless with the types of events that you can do. As you've probably seen with some of our events, we do a lot of different types. And I don't think we've repeated one yet. We're on like 7. So we've done a lot. But if it's a ticketing event or an auctioning event, we have to make sure that all of those components are enabled. And by having that description there, that brings us back to what the event is, what the eye is first going to see for our users, what they're looking for. Are they looking to buy a ticket? Let me make sure the ticketing button is available and ready for them. Same thing if they're looking to go on our items page for an auction. The next thing we do have some campaigns that aren't necessarily event related. It may be more of a fundraiser over an event. So for our events, we are sure to have a terms and conditions written out, our rules, basically. GiveSmart allows you to have your own terms and conditions that'll be applied to every single event, but we set up our own for each event depending on what it is. That makes it so if anybody views our website before it's done and we have it open and live for people to see, they can have a better idea on when the event starts, when it ends, what the regulations are, and just have a good idea of what the event looks like.
Fantastic. I'll open it up to either of the other panelists. Is there anything else that you think of right away when you start a campaign?
We at Swigert, every year we try to pick a theme, and not unlike you guys at Suncoast. And I think for us, like one of our brainstorming sessions is we kind of come up with like our own vision. What's the goal outside of raising money? You know, that's always kind of the goal, but what else is it that we hope to accomplish? And let that kind of be the umbrella that shapes what we're doing. And like for this year, for example, because it was such a strange year and people have been asked for so much, and we realized, you know, if they can give, they may, but we need to be appropriate about how we do that. And so part of our goal this year, for example, wasn't just to deliver a fun virtual event, but to really galvanize the community, to make people feel really good about, you know, being involved in any capacity. And so I think inclusivity was a big part of, you know, our campaign this year. But I think starting your campaign that way, like you guys were saying, you kind of have a framework, and that seems to help us kind of stay on task when we're, you know, going back to the planning phases.
Sure.
I think it's awesome that you mentioned that too, because Lena here, obviously she's our director of marketing and all of that. So a big part of making our GiveSmart page immersive and attractive for people at first sight, since that your homepage is where people are going to refer to over and over again. A big part of that is working so closely with our marketing team and having that vision. So Lena usually designs our flyer for the event while I'm working on the background things. And then we're able to design our background and our banner for our homepage based on that flyer. And that really helps us keep focused on the vision of our event.
Those are awesome. That was a fantastic way to get started with a homepage and to start to think about it. And Swigert, I'll come back to you for your second question. So like many organizations that we work with, and potentially many of you here today listening, you guys do, again, one annual event. That may change, but for right now, you do one annual event, and typically that is in person, as you mentioned. And this year you decided to go virtual. And part of that, you took it and expanded it into a 3-day event, which was really cool. Can you guys talk about the tactics that you use to have people register early, donate early, and how you really created that experience? And we'll get to see their campaign, you'll see it, but if you could kind of walk us through the strategy behind how you did that.
You bet. We worked hard to come up with a theme that was going to be exciting and engaging, whether it was going to be in person or virtual. We landed on virtual as the year sort of unfolded, and we continued to be, like many of you are, still knee deep in a pandemic with a lot of details that we couldn't execute in person. I think some of the things that we started out in the beginning of the year for us during the school year was and ours is an 80s theme, which gets everybody on board pretty quickly, either through the music or some of the visuals. It just takes you right back. We were able to really focus on getting people excited. We created a t-shirt to kind of kick off the campaign, and it was a throwback to back to the 80s with Back to the Future, and it said, Marty, whatever you do, don't go back to 2020. So we sold those as a fundraiser, but also to get, gain momentum and get people really their eyes perking up for what was to come next. For us, very similar to what the gals were saying from Suncoast, marketing was critical. Everything that we did was very intentional in leading up to getting details out and in the hands of our audience, primarily our parents and our parental community for the school. But we did that through involving teachers, and you'll see in the campaign, we have pictures of them in their 80s, pulling some of their 80s pictures from when they were younger. Some are really young.
Yeah.
And some are more,
or easier to guess.
Yeah, definitely easier to guess. But what we really just tried to do is make communication across the board really, really strong. And that's what drove people there. We offered an ability for folks to register and to donate. And we created time slots that had specific incentive prizes for that time slot. So if they had a 3-hour window, part of our budget was purchasing items that we knew would be really intriguing and also be able to hold attention, and that people really were thinking, gosh, I might have a 1 in 50 chance of winning an iPad. Investment for us yielded, we covered all of our expenses easily and then some, because the folks who donated really wanted the opportunity to be entered in those drawings. So throughout the weekend, ours started on a Friday, ended on a Sunday, the campaign. We also had an activity on Friday night that allowed the social aspect that you normally might get from an auction. Rachel had a phenomenal contact through something else that she's been working with, who did a virtual cocktail class. We sold boxes that were called spirit boxes and had amazing, we had Tito's vodka sponsor us. So we had vodka in there. We had
80s
themed snacks that were amazing. We had, Laffy Taffy, Bazooka gum. There were buttons, all kinds of things. This box was amazing, and a list of ingredients so that it could be organized for Friday. So I guess my point being is we really tried hard to have things be interesting, and there was no stone unturned in terms of creativity. We had a muralist come in on the outside of the school with chalk. They did graffiti with every kind of 80s terminology you can think of, and Pac-Man and all kinds of theme-oriented things so that folks could have pictures in front of it. But start to finish, I think our big thing, and what I would recommend is, no matter if you're a one-time event or if you're going weekend long, is to really create the campaign that includes the marketing pieces so that people can be driven to that site, And the site, Rachel will talk more about that. It was incredibly engaging, so that it was fun, and we knew that it would constantly be evolving from the time that we launched it to the time that we ended our campaign. Did I leave anything out?
No, yeah, you covered a lot of ground. Yeah, I think our goal this year was, in past years when you do a live event, you sell tickets typically. Ours have always been, snappy, if you will. So people dress up. But I think, by extension, sometimes you leave people out. And so I think for us this year, our goal was really galvanizing everyone, including the kids. We had after when kids would come out to be picked up, we had 80s music blasting. So kids would be dancing, and we had big boom boxes, and then we had a spirit week. So anyway, I think it goes back to reiterating the theme. And, we really thought in order for parents to engage, especially in a year, and we still have remote learners at our school, not everybody's in person, we wanted to make everything free this year. And we had the ability to give $1 to, thousands of dollars. And so I think that was a part of our success.
That was fantastic. There are so many tidbits to walk away with from that. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. I'm curious too, does anyone else have anything to add on to that around tactics to get people to register or join incentive steps?
Yeah, we were kind of in a similar boat. Usually our event is held at a hotel downtown and only can hold 600 some people. And we usually sell out a month or a few months beforehand. And this was the first time we had the opportunity to involve as many people as we wanted. So we did a live stream program directly through the GiveSmart site that we hired actually an outside IT company to manage. So since none of us quite had the skills to do that. And so getting people ahead of time, we came up with a lot of new concepts. So despite having the same name as it's been in the past, the concepts of the actual event were totally different. So we came up with a Wish Night party box, and we just got tons of vendors to donate stuff, and we encouraged people to sign up for that. So we kind of would release information on the party boxes. We really pushed our sponsors to include people that not only their people, but pushing the message out to their networks as well. And we have a really great committee, luckily, who helps. And the party boxes were the kind of the exciting piece because they were new. They had tons of goodies in them. There was 2 different options, an appetizer one and a dessert one. So it kind of created a little buzz about getting it. And then we had a viewing link too that didn't include anything that people could do. And we were pretty surprised at how many people that we wouldn't have guessed would be participating signed up for that. So otherwise our marketing was pretty traditional in the sense of what we would normally do with social media and all that good stuff. But yeah, coming up with a new idea for an old event sometimes can reinvigorate people.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a fantastic point, talking about party boxes and these incentives to get people onto the site, get them interested, capture their attention right away, and keep them coming back. So thanks for sharing all that. And we'll go with our third question here. Back to you, Kelsey. And you guys have been using GiveSmart for years and years before we were GiveSmart, all through the iterations of it. And just this year, you ran 10 campaigns alone, right? So that's a lot. And you mentioned you did third party. So can you tell us a little bit about your role in this and how you guys view campaign homepages kind of for those third parties? And how do you make sure that they all stay on brand if it's your third party?
For sure. So our big internal events, so Wish Night being our biggest one, I have a lot of help. So, I'm not even the first person to touch the GiveSmart site when it comes to our internal event. Me, my colleague, Andrea, we kind of get it started. And then we have a graphic designer on our team who really manage the whole homepage process. And one of the big things for us is we used to have a website and a GiveSmart page. And as GiveSmart has come up with all these new features and adding custom pages, we have eliminated the need for a separate website by being able to include our itinerary, all the opportunities, highlighting our Wish kids that will be at the event. We really want, as any event host knows, you get a million questions for your events. So we wanted to have as many answers on that site as we could provide to try to limit the amount of questions coming into us. And every year, GiveSmart adds new features that makes that easier and easier, which is great. So our Wish Night site is pretty intuitive. It has really every piece of the event, all the, of course, sponsorships, tickets, information on our party boxes. Like I said, the profiles of the Wish kids that would be participating, our wine pull, all that stuff was on there. But in contrast, we have recently started letting our third-party groups have pages. And the beauty of that has been is these groups, again, typically wouldn't maybe need something like this because there are smaller scale things that are typically like an in-person, not necessarily the caliber that GiveSmart can be, but being virtual with all of our schools, it really gave them the opportunity to have really engaged their people in a way they couldn't otherwise. So I set up all their pages, so that's how they stayed on brand. I did all the content, they gave me everything and I put it in. And then day of, I helped manage the silent auction piece for that. And then day of, I gave the one person admin access so they could send out the text messages. But other than that, when the third parties have used it, they use it to a pretty basic level, just mainly the silent auction items in and of itself. But I think there's a lot of room to grow there too. So I think as I become more comfortable letting other groups on it, it'll be interesting to see kind of who comes our way and what more unique things. And I mean, even like Suncoast, I was looking at some of their sites and I'm like, oh, I didn't even know you could do this. And like you said, we've been on this for like 8 years. So it's kind of, you're always learning new things and new concepts to kind of, you can look at something and be like, oh, we use this feature for this, but Suncoast used it for this, and I never thought about it that way. So it's really cool to have the opportunity to see what other people are doing. And then I think I saw a question for me. So
Yes.
wine pull. So we set that up. Do you want me to keep going?
Yeah, please. Yes. Just say hi.
We set it up as instant items. And it's something that we have struggled with in person because when we're in person, we have sellers walking around selling everything and then people buying them on their phones. So then we would have like quantity issues where we like if the sellers on the floor weren't updating GiveSmart quick enough, all of a sudden we'd sell our numbers just weren't adding up. But this past year, not having anything in person, or we did have a hybrid, but for the sake of the conversation, less in person, it made it really easy. So we just do an instant item. I think we had 325 bottles. For us, all of our bottles, it costs $20. The bottles are valued, or it costs $25. The bottles are valued at $20 or more. And people could pick up if they were in person that night. They just had to show us that they had paid. Otherwise, they picked up at our office later that week. So yeah, we use the instant feature for our wine pull. Long story short.
Perfect. Yeah, that was perfect. Thank you, Kelsey, for seeing that and jumping in. That was awesome. Dvora, great to have you here. Thanks for writing in. Okay, so just as Kelsey kind of mentioned, it's awesome to see how other people are doing it, and all three of your organizations have used GiveSmart homepages super creatively. So let's jump in. Let's see them. Here we go. I'm gonna do my best to screen share here, y'all. Give me some grace. Okay, can everyone see this page? Seeing yes. Okay. So we're going to start with Swigert's 80s themed event. And this, I mean, first of all, just look at this. Like, how fun is this automatically? And something that you see consistently through amazing homepages is a great banner image. And this is a great one. So you see the theme, you see what it is, you see when it is, right? That's the information that needed to get across here. Now, here's a different way that they used a order form page, which I think is so fun. So they were talking about how they put their teachers and used old pictures. Well, what they did is you could come in here and you could vote who you think this teacher is for $1, right? And if I add $1 in here, you see it come up on the side and so on. So whoever got the most right guesses out of the 19 that are listed here got 50% of the money earned here. Am I correct, ladies?
Mhm.
Okay, thank you. I want to make sure I'm accurately describing all of this as well, so appreciate it. So I'm going to keep going. So that's just a super fun, creative idea. I love that so much. And you just have these buttons here to be able to see what's going on. They made it themed colors. And then, of course, every good homepage has a mission video, something that draws back to your mission. And I love that this is up top so that you can see it right away. Fantastic. Then, as they talked about, the theme was a huge part of this. So we have the theme totally tubular, and you have it all. And when they were talking about using these time slots, here you go. So this is what it was. They put the time slots here for the 3 days, and within that, they have the prize that goes here. So if you make a donation within this time slot, you're entered into that raffle.
Mhm.
So smart. Then we have obviously the donation buttons, always important to keep onto a homepage. It's a fantastic way, whatever type of campaign you're doing, you want to make sure that there's an ability to donate. Even if it's just an education or a community engagement campaign, you want to make sure that's there. We have a display here, which we'll show more options of as well. And then you have a breakdown of what's possible on this site. So what can you do? You can shop, you can bid, you can donate. Here's the schedule of events as we go forward. Everything is simple, easy to understand, straightforward, all well in theme, which is really exciting too, right? Another breakdown, even more, which I love. And then again, every good homepage that I'm seeing has an FAQ section, right? So it has that information, as they mentioned. You know, as a development person, that you get tons of questions, those emails that come to you. How do I do this? How do I pick up items? How do I whatever? Here it is. You put your FAQ right on the homepage directly. Anything that people need to know, it's right here. Yeah, how does it work? There you go. All the way down, what you can expect. How do you get your prizes? And then again, another call on donations. Fantastic. So well done here. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, we actually, sorry to interject, but
Oh, please.
the site we kind of looked at as alive, if you will. And so the structure you just went through was how it looked when we closed. But if a user went on earlier in the campaign, they actually saw that FAQ first, and the other pieces they weren't in play at that point. And same with the video. The video was kind of like the tearjerker that we sort of put in for parents just before we went into this big auction weekend. And, in years past when we've done the event, we, make almost all of our money comes from the items that people are buying. But this year, given, I think the feel of the community, it didn't really seem like we needed over 100 items. So our goal was to be like very narrow in what we were providing and deep. And the deep came from really those donations. And for the first time ever, our donation campaign, which was the raffles that you just kind of saw the schedule, they exceeded the amount of money that we brought in for the items that we were selling. And so I think people were feeling generous. I think people have amassed enough stuff, like, the Lego kits were great, but like, we really don't need 4 Lego baskets.
Right.
And so we didn't really want to provide, in this year anyway, we didn't really want to provide a bunch of random things. We had to say no to a lot of people. Instead, we made it about galvanizing the community, providing either an experience or something that would add value to your home. And that had, like for the experiences, like if it was a travel experience, you had up to 2 years to use those items. We were really careful in what we selected. And then one of the things that we sent home to stay on topic was we made this like TV guide. And we have like fake shows in here, but it incorporated like teachers were in some of the programming. So it was kind of like a tongue in cheek. We wanted people to like look at this and feel some levity. We wanted them to remember and have a sense of nostalgia of using the word to end like a message to someone,
Right.
Or like, all the things that we used to do in the 80s. And then, but it was also, the TV guide was your schedule. So it'd be like, oh yeah, I can watch, you can't do that on television. And then next is what's an after school special to win a 1-year membership. So we reiterated it in this TV guide that went home with all the families. And then we had the schedule here front and center. So we moved that block up. So when they got into the website to participate and play games, that they saw the game right away, they saw this emotional video, and then right away they were encouraged to donate to win prizes. So I just wanted to, I know you were still talking, Susanna, but I wanted to share with the group that I don't think a successful campaign is creating a page and walking away.
Right.
It's always, reading your community, figuring out what the next thing is, keeping them engaged, moving blocks around. So.
Perfect. No, that is such a great addition to this. That's exactly what the point of this is. And I can't tell your story better than you. So please jump in. I'm happy to have you. Perfect. So we'll go to Make-A-Wish. This is Kelsey here and Make-A-Wish, Wisconsin. This is Wish Night. Again, you're seeing this banner tell you everything you need to know. We have the organization, what it is, when it is, and where it is, right? That's a good banner right there. When you come down, what I love, and again, I love that you just said that too, Sarah, because the thing is, this is, well, Kelsey, right? That this is post event.
Yeah,
So
so this was actually where our whole program was streamed live on the site. So this was a live show that then now is stagnant on there. But the people who were in person at the different theaters across the state were watching this program live in the theater as well.
perfect. Yeah, and I think it's great, like using this homepage after to upload the video post event. And so people can continuously come back, right? So how do you steward people? How do you reach the people who didn't attend, right, at the first time? You send them this again. You keep them coming back even post event, and you upload your event right here so that they can continue to watch, and they can watch it over and over again if they wanted to. So that's great. I love this. Then Kelsey, what made this stand out to me so much is just how clean and organized you made this page look. I think it's just brilliant. And you wrote kind of a recap of what this is, as well as how it has kind of pivoted for this year, right? And wrote that really clean and neat. And then this is huge. You have your itinerary listed so cleanly. People know exactly what time, when things are happening, when they should join, what to expect. Those are the exact things that you're looking for from a homepage. You have your silent auction. And then I'm going to click here to show and utilize the thing that we have, which is secondary pages. So on GiveSmart, you can create a secondary page. And I love this, Kelsey, that you put this in a secondary page, because now we can just click into it. And again, very clean and crisp. So we have all of what you need. And then, as you mentioned, you have those legal statements, right? So whatever that is, disclaimer, legal statements, things that you guys want to make sure that you're protecting your organization while doing these types of events. You can make sure to add a secondary page. So if people come back to you and they're like, well, I didn't do this or that, or I didn't use that experience or whatever, it's like, well, it was on the homepage. There was, some sort of statement out there that made it easy for those conversations after the event.
And the beauty of those, we got that idea from someone else. The terms and conditions we always have posted at our in-person events, but a lot of the first part we pretty much word for word stole from a local group that I worked with, and they were like, here, this is what we did. I was like, thank you. So using other people's stuff, why recreate a wheel when you don't have to?
Absolutely. And that's a great time to say as well that we are posting all of these campaigns again in the chat. So these are all here, and you can come back and check this out again. So I was right here, and this is so fun. So what she did is she made it again so easy, so crisp. So bid now takes you to the items, other activities, wine pull, diamond pull, donations, right? Is this what that is? The top
Yeah,
you win?
so adopt a wish and normal event functions are like appeal. That's one of how we make most of our money at our event. Not this year, but
No, but that's great, because I think people are really asking themselves, how do you highlight that donation moment? How do you stand that out, right? Beyond just donate here. How do you do that? And I think this is a really good way to do this, and creating these buttons on the side to direct people directly back to that is a great way to go. So
yeah, in our Adopt a Wish at our normal event, we have quite a few GiveSmart staff on site at a normal event. So in theory, people are raising their hands, but for the people that don't want to raise their hands to say they're pledging, we also have the option always to give through that link, and all the Adopt a Wish are on they're the first thing you see on the silent auction page as well. Just because, again, that's like someone else mentioned, like at some point people don't need more things, and we see a lot of value in just giving towards the wish directly.
Sure. Awesome. Then I love this too. You had a section for your event chairs, really highlighting and pulling out special things about your event night, right? So your event chairs, giving them a shout out. You had your award recipients highlighted out, shown really clean, nicely with some stuff. And then also the mission stories, right, that you were able to tell on the night of.
Yep.
So again, putting this super clean, crisp, it looks so good. And it's like, yeah, I do want to go listen to these stories. Now I can see the child, I can understand what their wish is, I understand where they're at. That makes me enticed to go listen more to their story and hear from them themselves. So I just thought this was a fantastic way. And again, the attending virtual section on its own. and our sponsors. So of course, sponsors are such a big part of all of this. How do you make them the biggest highlights? And we'll go into that a little bit more after this. But just well done, Kelsey. And I guess for the last kind of thought here is I'll ask, what order was this arranged in during the event and pre-event?
So unlike the other groups, we really don't change our homepage much. So our event, again, traditionally is very much an in-person event. The auction items are all out and everything. And so this is supplemental often to what we're doing, but this year it was obviously a key part to what we were doing. So most of this was, I mean, of course, some things got added as we saw them on other sites or as we thought about it. But for the most part, our homepage is actually pretty stagnant and our activities remain the same kind of year over year. So like the wine pull, as soon as we open the site, we usually open it about ticketing and stuff obviously is open for quite a while. But our silent auction, which this year had around like 220 packages, our wine pull and our diamond dig all open about 2 weeks before. But again, yeah, we don't change ours all that much. So what you see, the only thing that was added was the live stream that night.
Sure. I mean, I love that's great, right? Like that's why we have such a range of different things here today, because we want these opinions and how you do it. And I will say too, I love that you kind of created these images to brand.
Yeah. One of the biggest things, so yeah, that's the Adopt-A-Wish that I mentioned earlier, but if you scroll just a little, you'll see the Wish Kid piece, and any organization that has especially a kid-focused mission, those are all items created by our Wish Kids that have that little banner. And so they go, most like the stone, like, is probably like a $20 kit and it went for $530. So I highly recommend if you're doing an auction and you have some sort of mission where you can incorporate the people benefiting from you, it's a hit every year. It's always really fun stuff. And now people are starting to collect Wish Kid items and stuff like that. So pretty cool. But yeah, our graphic designer, again, and the shout out to him, he really is the one that designed the whole homepage. I can speak to everything, but he's the one that does the work behind it. And he created all these photos, banners and everything to make everything kind of on brand and consistent.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. That's great. Okay, we will head into Suncoast and we are going to show 3 of their campaigns. But in the chat, I'm going to put all of their campaigns. They have such creative stuff going on here. But I just wanted to show you just a few of these. So guys, this is one of your upcoming campaigns, right, that you just created recently. And it's around Mother's Day. So I love that you incorporated a holiday here. I think that's just like the perfect thing to do. And what it is it's Mother's Day cards. So just going down simply here, you can see the deadlines. You can see all the different types that are offered here, as well as just some really great images. So what people might not realize is that you can use a GiveSmart page as basically a shop, with instant buy items. And so that's what this is. It's pretty simple shop. And I will just point out here how they use the order form super creatively as well. Order forms again coming in. And with that show more here, when I enter 1, you can see how that populates. And I love too that you guys also allow people to cover those transaction fees. That's a setting within GiveSmart that allows people to cover those for you. So I just want to point that out as something that, from my view, we are seeing more and more, especially during 2020. We saw that trend rise so high of organizations allowing, and maybe that's because they're, coming on a credit card or they kind of expect those fees more days. But I'm going to pause there and ask Lena and Jaden, is there anything you want to add here or kind of your thoughts behind strategically designing this?
Yeah, so this was a very, very fun page to put together. It was actually, like, to be 100% transparent, a very last minute campaign we decided to put together. It in total took us 2 days to design, create, and get uploaded. And on the 3rd day, it was live and ready to go. So that really does attest to how flexible GiveSmart can be, because some of our other events, which you'll see, and some are in the chat, we will get set up months ahead of time or take like a full week or a couple weeks to slowly update. But we also have the flexibility to create an entire campaign in a day or so. So we really did enjoy that. If you keep going through our ticketing, after you initially select the ticket that you want, you can see that there are questions that you can fill out, and you can select if you want a dog mom card, if you want a cat mom card, what exactly you want. In addition, it asks a question where you can type in, what's an email? If you're getting an e-card, would you like this sent to? What address would you like this sent to if it's going to be mailed out? So there's a lot of flexibility in regard to how you set up your tickets as well, since we were able to ask different questions per each ticket that was provided. So we had a lot of fun. Like Kelsey was saying, working with marketing is absolutely vital. And that's something that we work super well in doing together. So we can kind of keep a lot of our events branded all through and through the colors of our homepage, to our button selection, to how we do our cards for this event. This was our first non-event GiveSmart campaign, and it's been pretty successful so far.
Awesome. Cool. We'll go on to the next one. Thank you for sharing all of that. Okay, this is so fun, guys. This is their Pet Palooza. It is a voting competition, and there's just so much to show on this page. So you have, again, a great banner. You have what it is, right? When it is, what it is. So
Oh, did you want us to talk about it a little bit more?
Susanna?
Hello?
Oh,
Yep.
oh, sorry.
We lost you for a second. Sorry about that.
My bad. Sorry. I think that was my computer.
We have bad Wi-Fi. Yeah, this was actually a really fun event to plan because we wanted to have different categories for people to enter. And it was originally, the idea was for it to be a contest and to include as many people as we could to enter the contest. So we had different categories that we thought about these categories very thoroughly through, because we wanted to make sure that it was relatable for a lot of people. And also because, you know, we deal with pets and we help people find their best friends. We wanted to make sure that if somebody does have a pet who may be no longer alive, that they're still able to participate or help other animals, you know, who do need help. So as you'll see, we have different categories. Jaden can talk about more on the selection of those and kind of like the thought that went behind them.
Yeah, so this, like she said, was super fun. This was actually the second campaign we ever did with GiveSmart. So we really just wanted to test our limits completely with what we could do. So like she said, because it was a voting competition, we had to find ways to integrate submission of photos and all of that sort. And we worked awesome with our customer success manager to figure out how we could upload these on our end while making it clear the areas that they are on the items page, where to vote, what category they're in. If you upload them, they can go in random, you know, a random order. So we were able to upload it with certain item numbers so that they stayed together. And as she's kind of taking you through, you can see all the Twin It to Win It submissions are together, Sleeping Beauty are together, Turn Your Pen to Art, Adventure Time, and Loving Memory, they're all together. And I color coordinated them all too as we uploaded it. I think this helped make a new system easier for our environment, for our community. Similar to the other organizations, we usually did about 2 or 3 events a year in person. And this year we decided to totally transform what we did in the past. And we have been doing 1 to 2 events per month online. So this has really opened up us to working with so many different people. And we're getting a lot more community involvement. So we're allowed to have more flexibility in the events we do. So we might not have as high of goals for some of our events now, but we're able to do more of them and keep different areas of our community involved.
All right. Okay, I think I'm gonna just try to stay off video. Am I back?
Yeah.
Okay. We're getting it. Awesome. Thank you for doing that and filling us in. That's perfect. And something I really wanted to point out too is how you did the displays of this, right? Like how you utilized and showed this. So taking it to a secondary page, you actually used a display and created it to show the votes, right? And if I go back to that, you were able to take this display and break it up even more. So votes per category. So each category even had its own display, right?
Yeah, that was super cool to do, since we've done voting competitions in the past, and our community gets very competitive. They want to know where they're at, if they're going to win, you know, exactly where they're updated. So having that secondary display really helped them understand, okay, I'm only, 15 votes away from being in second place, or whatever it may have been. And that kind of goes back to how do we draw people to our page, and how do we draw people to our event? We will do voting specials or discounts on our tickets with certain discount codes, and that really helps get enrichment and engagement on our events. And I see you're at our title sponsor video. We do like to incorporate some videos on our page, just to communicate better about what the event is, or give opportunities to our sponsors, such as this one here. So you'll see that it has a tendency in some of our events.
I love it. Videos are so key. And I think too, that matching that you have here and being able to put that on a video and raise that up a little bit more. We've seen matching be so successful when it comes to donations and enticing donations. So again, I mean, an incredible job on this one. And I will say too that my computer was a little sketchy here, but when you go to the items, I just want to point out how they utilize their ads. So ads are a thing that a lot of people just think to put sponsorships on. But I love that you wrote out what everything is in an ad, so you can easily follow along and understand what everything is. So if people are considering it, think of ads in a totally different way. You can put, an ad to be a volunteer or whatever that looks like for you. So we're going to go to our last campaign here before we start taking some Q&A from our audience. This is Stock the Bar. It's so fun. So this is a raffle page, right? So only a raffle campaign. And it happened right after the holidays. So your theme was kind of like restock your bar after your holiday parties, right?
Yeah.
And it was so good. So I'm just picking a few things that I loved here. The fact that you just put this image right there, like so easy to understand what's going on here. You always have the donation option, even on a raffle page. Why not add that donation option, right? And then you have all of the details that anyone could need to know right here, again with that image. Another display, so well done, and your impact information. And one more thing I wanted to point out before we kind of jump in here, your thoughts on it, is when you go to these items, you guys use secondary pages very interestingly as well by linking your secondary page directly to the item itself. I thought that was a great idea. So like, not every item might have like terms and conditions, right? So like, how do you make, if there's a trip and you have a bunch of terms and conditions on a trip, do you add that in all at once so there's a bunch of information, or maybe adding that secondary page directly to that item can really stop?
Yeah, so that was actually, this was our very, very first campaign ever. We did this back in January, like you said, right after the holidays. And as a humane society and, obviously a nonprofit, we have different rules that we have to abide to. And one of those was actually having an option for people to enter for free. And we had to make sure we had that in the terms and conditions. Obviously, it's a fundraiser, so not many people necessarily wanted to do that component, but we had to make sure that people all saw the terms and conditions and that it was an equal raffle for everybody. So with that being said, we did have our terms and conditions attached to each raffle item in order to be sure that everybody had the opportunity to see that. In addition, kind of how we had our tickets with our Celebrate Moms campaign, where you can answer a question, we made a required question on anytime you purchased a raffle ticket for this, that you did read the terms and conditions and that you agreed to them, so that if there was a comeback for any questions or concerns, people already agreed to those before they purchased their ticket. We wanted to make sure, like I said before, when we first started, is that's the very first thing we add to our homepage is our rules, our terms and conditions. We want to be completely honest and make sure that the expectation is there. So that was something that was a little bit, not necessarily difficult. I mean, a lot of people read it, was clear for them and made it easy to participate. And as we said, we're in a little bit of an older community, I guess you should say. So sometimes technology, people can get a little frustrated when it's different than something they're used to. So making it as easy as possible for people to understand what the event is, be a part of it, get involved, help our mission, and then possibly win something out of it. That was our mission on that.
Yeah, also having the alcohol component to that raffle, we had to make sure that whoever was entering and whoever was going to be claiming the prizes is old enough. and has a valid driver's license. So that was very important because that's a question that came up a lot, especially from our sponsors who made it possible, who were donating the booze and all the fun items. They wanted to make sure that we're not just giving out alcohol to anybody. So we have to make sure to cover our butts legally and to, like Jaden said, to have the option for people to enter for free because it is a state requirement for us. So we had to be very clear from the start. So I think that really helped us for this specific event.
Hi, you may notice that a voice is changing, and that's because Susanna cut out. So my name is Kathy Nathnagel. I'm the content manager here at GiveSmart. So I'm going to be stepping in for kind of the Q&A portion. Oh, Susanna's back. If you want to take it away, that's fine too. But someone I think for our two friends from they asked, did you have to get permission to use the trademarked material like Back to the Future, Pac-Man images, song lyrics, etc., or were you taking some creative freedoms?
So the way I understood it in terms of my graphic design background is if we alter images slightly, we're buying product that is suggestive, but it isn't necessarily an exact copyright issue because it was altered 20%. So either in scale, we added an eyeball where there might not be an eyeball, we changed color, that kind of a thing, that it really, you can get a little bit more creative behind the scenes when you're altering things a good 20%.
Absolutely. Well, no, and I love that you said 20%, like clearly you knew, which is the best thing. And then we had another question that was, did any of you do kind of live bidding through your GiveSmart site, either in this virtual or hybrid way? A live auction?
Not this year.
No.
Previous years we have.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Okay, great. Because this question kind of relates to how do people kind of do live bidding? I guess Suzanne or I can take that because we have seen campaigns do that in the past. And what they do is they'll do one of two things. Either they will have that bidding available through the GiveSmart site on their phone, so you can kind of hide and unhide items from public view. So if you have an auctioneer during your program, you can open them up, people can bid, you can announce the winner, you can move on. Or we've seen people do proxy bidders. So if you have some people in the room in a hybrid way, and you have some people who are feeling more comfortable at home, they'll kind of set up a proxy bidding process. And that kind of hiding and unhiding, I know Kelsey, you mentioned instant buys. I used to do that too. And that's how we kind of kept our inventory as on task as we could. So we kind of hid the instant items so people couldn't just buy it through their phone. They had to actually go up to someone. So Susanna, did any other questions come through? I think that might be kind of the bulk of them, and we answered some live, and Kelsey and some of our panels even got in there and started chatting, which I love so much. So with that, Susanna, if you want to close us out, that would be great.
Sure. Perfect. Okay, sorry about that, guys. That was a little wild. You never know. You're always on TV. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull up this last screen. If my computer lets me. And really, we're just here to kind of, I'm just gonna not mess with this right now. We're just gonna close out by saying that this is the 4th episode of these series, and we still have them left. So we will put in the chat the Blueprint Fundraising Series of Success. Make sure to keep registering for these panels. We do them every week, and we hope that you guys all learned something today with that. And last few things is we do have a survey after this. So when you exit, please take a moment to fill out those surveys. We directly go with what you guys say. And I will kind of end here with one final thought for our panelists by just saying, do you guys have any final thoughts or final things as we kind of wrap up that we didn't get to cover? We'd love to let you kind of have those final last words.
I think we would suggest to really stay creative and don't be nervous to kind of push the limits. If any of you do go and look at some of our other campaigns, you'll see we gradually started changing our graphic design more and more. And we've gotten a lot of engagement and comments back, and our community is excited. And it's been so different than what we are used to. And we've only gotten amazing responses back. So definitely stay creative and push the limits, I guess I'd say.
Start as early as you can. If you have an idea of what your event is going to be like, event or a fundraiser or whatever it is that you're using it for. Just start planning it and start designing it right away. It definitely helps, and it's so easy to use that you can put a campaign together in one day.
And you can, if you do it earlier, you can secure your keyword. Every website has a keyword that you go to. We've only had like an issue one time, but I think I actually spelled something wrong, so it might have been my bad. But you know, you can brand your name of your website and make it easy. That's why we have Stock the Bar and all of our names so easily, you know, to communicate to our community. So try to secure your keyword as soon as possible.
It's a great tip.
I was going to say too, for anybody who is like a repeat user, for us, we are our demographic. Like we have some turnover in the school, you know, after kids leave fifth grade, and of course we have incoming or transferring. But this year we were able to import a lot of our participants from previous auctions. We were able to, and we'd never done that before.
Yeah.
So we kind of had like an instant body of people to communicate with. And that was really helpful. We just didn't know we could do that. So it's something to keep in mind if you're trying to get momentum.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to confirm, you're saying that you took last year's users and put them in this campaign, so you could
That's right.
automatically start
And then we
texting
sent
them
it.
or communicating.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we sent a text message kind of early on, like you are registered, you know, to opt out. And so, and really it was like, I think 11 or 12 people total that. So we kind of started with a base of like over 300. And then I think we were over 400 by the time we were done. So for a school, I think it was pretty great.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And we actually duplicated our whole site. So that's a good point that I wouldn't have thought to bring up. But one way to keep your branding on mark year after year is recreate your site and then make the updates. So the things that we have every year, like the Adapt Wish, the wine pull, the raffle, we just brought all that over instead of having to go in and re-add the items. So, but other than that, nothing too much to add.
That's totally fine. Thank you guys. Those were amazing tips on designing your homepage and making sure to create that experience, right? Not thinking of this as a stagnant thing that you do one time, but start early, keep it moving, keep people engaged post event, post campaign, and really think outside the box with what you can use this for. It's not just for one event. It could be, but it could also be, you know, a home, like just a Mother's Day card or a raffle or whatever that is. So again, thank you guys so much for joining us, and please fill out that survey after, and we will see you next week. Thanks again.
Bye.